start with OLPs, other licensed practitioner. So there's a link here to a SPA manual that has all this information broken down for each new service, including the medical necessity. On this slide of the webinar, we've provided you the exact page number within that specific manual and the link to that manual. Again, if you hang out till the end of the webinar, I'll pull up the links so you can see what they look like. But if you want to look into more detail or if you have questions, this is really going to hold all of your answers as to what these services are. So they'll be broken out for each new service. So OLPs are like the primary care, really, if you think of it, of the new children and family treatment support services. They provide evaluations, recommendations, psychotherapy, and treatment planning and crisis intervention. OLPs are licensed behavioral health practitioners who provide licensed evaluation and assessment. They establish a diagnosis where needed and identify services, practices medically necessary to meet the needs of the family and the youth. Treatment planning, which is the detailed scope of practices to be provided, the expected outcomes and frequency or duration of the treatment for each provider. They perform psychotherapy, therapeutic communication, and an interaction to help manage and alleviate symptoms that's affecting the young person's life. And they also perform crisis intervention activities, phone or in-person support to address crisis situations that require immediate attention, and well as follow-up activities. So that's the overarching tone of what the OLPs provide. And on the next slide, you'll see a list here of who qualifies as an other licensed practitioner. I did receive a question here. Yes, you will be able to have access to the slide deck. Not only will we post this whole webinar on our Families Together New York State website, we're going to have a dedicated page with this slide deck as well as other handout materials that you'll be able to use. That'll hopefully be supports and resources for you. So the list of other licensed practitioners include licensed psychoanalysts, licensed clinical social workers, licensed marriage and family therapists, licensed mental health counselors, licensed master social workers when under the supervision of the licensed clinical social worker or a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And if you notice over in red, we have licensed practitioner of the healing arts. So we're going to also talk about that. Sometimes OLPs are often referred to as LPHAs, licensed practitioner of the healing arts. Licensed practitioners of the healing arts have a broader list. They can also serve to make recommendations and provide services. So some of these include your nurse practitioner, a registered nurse professional, so potentially the nurse within a school district. You have your physician, which could be your family doctor. A lot of this list is a bit broader. So the OLPs and the licensed practitioner of the healing arts are who you really need to get to in order to get that recommendation made for these services, because they can determine medical necessity.